Public records and UCC impacts. Public record, very important. So, have you had open litigation personally or commercially, or past litigation? If you have open litigation, that can be an impediment, something that stands in the way of your ability to get finance. Not good to have open litigation, it's perceived risk. You can understand that, especially if there's financial risk that could harm the capitalization they've provided to you. So what happens? You get sued, then there's liquid damages, and now you have to pay. Well, if I just wrote you a check for $100,000, your capitalization that had other use of proceeds associated, which we ran a risk analysis for that use of proceeds, is now in jeopardy, which means repayment risk has increased. So understanding public record and what you've done historically, and again personally, because there's a character element, as we've explained on previous lessons, to an application. What are your past charges from a law perspective? Have you had a clean record, or have you had some blemishes? Are these explainable blemishes? Are they financial fraud related blemishes? Those run very high risk. If it's a small character mistake, almost always those can be explained away. If you have a rational explanation and narrative as to what occurred and that it won't ever reoccur, you're almost always still okay for the application. Now at times, one bad charge, I've seen some colorful charges, shall I say, and they have been immediate deal killers, but it's usually because it's compounded with another weakness or perceived risk. There was a colorful charge, let's say, on a file on client this week, but it wasn't just that, it was that in conjunction with the fact that they had some gambling out of the business checking account. We understand that the coupling of two behaviors is when it becomes uncertain and clear risk, and that is where institution bank lender can get very uncomfortable. Now, having any gambling explicitly shown in your account can be an immediate cause for decline. At times we can explain things away. He's playing at the bar with his team and they do that as a company, whatever it is. But when you have that character challenge, that public record in LexisNexis, which you think is sealed, unfortunately it's not sealed, they will find it and you will be surprised and you'll need to write an LOE, a letter of explanation. So very important to really manage. Do you have open litigation? If so, could you get it closed? Here's the next one, UCCs. Having an understanding of what liens are tied to your business. Every single day for almost, I can't say every single client, but many clients, we have these ghost UCCs that should have been expunged, they should have been remediated, removed, that still are out there. I have several clients that are being affected by this right now, and where lawyers have to get involved, where another business that was unrelated was named in the UCC, in the lien. And so what does that mean? That's risk for the bank, lender, institution. It's at jeopardy of saving them tens of thousands of dollars a month in a true term loan refinance of the merchant cash advances. What's the challenge and concern? Well, if they owe money to someone that I have not been able to evaluate in the risk profile assessment in my underwrite, that is risk and concern and can lead to a lack of repayment ability. So UCCs that aren't tied to anything that's been disclosed. If we have open commercial vehicles, we expect there to be UCCs associated. We have a senior SBA loan, an EIDL. If we have some of these other notes, we expect to see UCCs. If we see UCCs and liens for notes and liabilities that aren't reported, we need to wrap around them. They need to be considered. And at times you think that your affiliate business has borrowed and you don't realize in the contract, in the fine print, your affiliate business is a co-guarantor. And so when trying to get a loan for another business, it comes to surface that there's a liability associated with this business. Happened again this week. Reading that print in every single contract is so important, but even more importantly, again, is understanding what UCCs are out there in advance of application and being proactive rather than reactive. So the two key points here, public record, knowing that if you have open litigation, better to get it remedied in advance of application. It'll be perceived risk, could be auto decline. If it is something that has been closed and it's a closed case, we should show proof that judgment has been released, that's been remedied. This happens all the time. Again, it shows up. We just need to showcase that proof. So please keep that proof so you have it handy. Open lit problem. If it's been resolved, just have the proof to support it. And again, UCCs, common that they're very quick to put them out, or even you are approved for a loan and then somewhere in underwriting and final underwriting got killed, or you walked away, but they filed the UCC anyway. I've seen this time and time again, and I have to go and ask the banks politely, sometimes less politely, to get that remediated, deleted, removed, because it becomes an impediment to another lending facility. One last thing while we're on this topic, hard inquiries. So if you're shopping around personally for personal loans, a bank, lender, institution might ask, does this result in a trade line, an account? And they'll ask, why were you applying to SoFi or One Main or any of these other personal loan lenders? They're going to ask, did it result? Why were you shopping it? We need to explain that. So this is part and adjacent to UCCs. It's knowing that you've been shopping around, and because it's a hard inquiry, there's traces of it. And then being able to explain it away proactively. This has never resulted in an account. No, I decided to go another direction. I actually want to pursue your your great SBA loan, your great line of credit. And so, no, we never actually accepted it. Or, no, that's actually a ghost UCC. It's not something, we have a zero balance letter for something years ago that's related to. Having the supporting documentation is everything, and understanding, again, how is the bank, lender, institution viewing you? How are they reviewing your file for approval? These are key elements from the public record perspective, UCCs, and even inquiries.
Learn the course for free at businesseligibility.com.